We are 5 days away from fundamentally transforming the United States of America.
Instantly killing everyone on board and wreaking incomprehensible carnage across 5 full floors of the building.
Meanwhile, Councilwoman Joanne Watson has called on the White House to bail out the city of Detroit. She says she expects it after the re-election of President Barack Obama.
After the election of Jimmy Carter, the Honorable Coleman Alexander Young, he went to Washington, D.C. He came back home with some bacon. Right. I remember that. That's what you do. That's what you do. This is our people in an overwhelming way supported the re-election of this president, and there ought to be a quid pro quo, and you ought to exercise leadership on that. Of course, not just that, but why not?
The prison population, I think, is generally a very, very fertile ground for the recruitment of these extremists.
The more political Islam, the more extreme forms of Islam, I've been watching that phenomena for 30 years. I knew what was happening in the prisons for years, right? And I knew that nobody else was really watching. I mean, just as a rule, everybody has been sleeping, and then no one's paid attention to the Islamic activists that have fed off the discontent of the young black males in the prison.
In fact, the former chaplain of the New York Department of Corrections has been caught on tape saying some extremely radical things.
Brothers, be prepared to fight, be prepared to die, be prepared to kill. It's a part of the deen, and this ain't your brother just saying this. This is history, this is Quran, nobody can deny it.
Islamic chaplains that go in and out of the prisons across the country. Let's assume that most are decent, law-abiding American citizens who pay their taxes. Then you got a few who are on some more extreme stuff.
You think that there's no terror in Quran? It's called Irhab. Read it in the 56th surah of Quran. There's no lack of translation. There's no mistranslation. There's no one shape says one thing. No, it's very clear. When you fight, you strike terror into the heart of the disbeliever.
There is virtually no attempt being made to prevent radical imams from addressing a literally captive audience and turning them into radical Islamists. And these aren't necessarily Muslims. These are people who are converted in prison.
About 18% at the last count of prisoners in New York State are Islamic.
The narrative of radical Islam would appeal to anybody locked up anywhere who feels that he has been unjustly treated by society. What's important to note is that barring some other kinds of interventions in the prisons, this will grow. This will grow.
Islam will dominate. That's what it will be.
These groups are not Al-Qaeda, they're not Hamas, they're not Hezbollah, and most of them are nonviolent. But they still want to replace American law with their version of Sharia, Islamic law.
We want to see Sharia here, and it will be. The flag of La ilaha illallah, Muhammad Rasulullah will be, inshallah, in the White House if that's what we choose to be. It just takes time. The American people are waking up now.
Allah does say that the whole world eventually will be under his ruling. The world will come down to where everybody obeys the laws of God. Simple as that.
We're seeing thousands of inmates convert to Islam while they're in prison every year. And many of them, when they leave, go to religious communities like Islamburg. Not many people know this. For example, in upstate New York, there's a small community that, on the face of it, appears to be a faithful group of devotional Muslims. But when you look into it, you'll find a lot of very concerning activities going on there.
I was up there, and on the far east perimeter, you can see buses, like school buses and vehicles that are riddled with bullet marks.
Islamburg is one of 30 compounds in America of an organization called Jamaat Ul-Fuqra. This organization actually has over 3,000 members and is made up mostly of individuals that converted to Islam while they were in American prisons.
What is Islamburg? Is there two faces? Is it a goodwill face to show the community and then a second backdoor face? And that's really what my concerns are.
You hear gunfire when you go past there. You know, at night you do hear people screaming and yelling, and there has been people that have left the compound that have told us information about some of the stuff that they've done.
What's most concerning to me is that these compounds are actually run by an individual by the name of Sheikh Jilani, and Jamaat al-Fuqra is actually an organization out of Pakistan which has been connected to a number of terrorist activities.
Jilani is tied to dozens of crimes across this country, firebombings and assassinations.
In keeping with the deceptive nature of these groups, Sheikh Jilani produced a video which is intended to paint himself and his groups in a positive light.
The American Muslims are better off in America than anywhere else, and they will never do anything wrong against the country. That's my directive to you and to them.
But authorities have uncovered another video by Jilani. And this one was never intended to be seen by the public.
See the film and see how, struggle against oppression has to be carried on.
This video shows terror training, ambush tactics, and how to make bombs.
Don't make any public film so that it may not fall in the hands of the enemies of Islam, and it can, quite serious.
And one has to wonder, is this what Jilani's followers are learning here in the compounds in America?
We are not given any authorization of anything that you have filmed today. We're not given any authorization for that to be publicized whatsoever. Well, legally, we are not. That is the rule. You have to ask permission.
So I'm not on your property. I'm on the public road here.
I know the FBI and Homeland Security are monitoring groups like Ul-Fuqra very closely, but it's amazing to me that this story just hasn't gotten out, and the media hasn't even begun to uncover what's being taught in these compounds and where Muslims like this get their ideas. And the only way we're going to win this war is to begin to uncover groups like Ul-Fuqra.
Well, is terror closer than you think? About an hour north of Columbia, a small community called Islamville goes about its daily business. But their neighborhood is unlike any other in our state. They have no elected leaders. Instead, they answer to a man who lives in Pakistan, a man a law enforcement report says is a terrorist. Tonight, in an On Your Side investigation, we travel to Islamville in an effort to get answers.
It's not a location that we sit back and absolutely ignore.
York County Sheriff Bruce Bryant is talking about this 34-acre site called Islamville, a self-contained Islamic community. All of the residents here accept this man as their ultimate leader, Sheikh Mubarak Ali Jilani. This 2006 law enforcement report was produced by the Regional Organized Crime Information Center. The center is funded by the U.S. Justice Department. The report says Jilani is known as an international terrorist and is the leader of the terrorist group called Jamaat Ul-Fuqra. The report also says Jilani is the leader of 7 covert paramilitary training compounds in the U.S., with one of those in York County.
I know there's a lot of people that has great concerns about this compound, but you know, the Constitution of the United States certainly protects them and their right to be there, and you know, we have to abide by that.
But it doesn't stop there. A classified report says Jilani has at least 28 other suspected communes in the U.S., all operating under the name Muslims of America. The report says they have more than 3,000 members spread out across the country, and that at least a dozen members have been convicted of terrorist activities, including conspiracy to commit murder, fire bombings, and gun smuggling.
I think most of the people that are part of Sheikh Jilani's total structure are unaware of the very intense terrorist connections that Muslims of America has had in the United States for the past quarter of a century.
Not known for sure when or where this tape was made, but it does show someone teaching guerrilla warfare, including weapons training. Sheriff Bryant says neighbors often report hearing gunfire coming from the York County compound. At least once a month, anywhere from 500 to 1,000 Muslims converge on Islamville. The sheriff says his office is always told in advance, and there's few, if any, problems. Nevertheless, his deputies patrol the area on a regular basis.
So Sheriff Bryant told you correct. This is an open community. We don't hide anything.
This is Ali Rashid, an Islamville elder. Sheriff Bryant says Rashid was recruited by Jilani more than 25 years ago in Pakistan. He showed up some 2 minutes after we drove into the compound.
I'm sure you've already photographed. What you've just photographed is all there is. The shrine is down the road, and the houses that you passed are all private residences. There's not anything else going on beside. We have, you know, 5 or 6 residences down here, and that's it.
When we asked Rashid for an interview, he declined.
Obviously, law enforcement has been concerned about Islamville since its existence. These people drive school buses here in this county. They work in our hospitals.
But the sheriff's biggest worry has to do where Islamville is located. According to the 2006 law enforcement report, Jilani opened his compounds near significant infrastructure targets. Islamville is less than 5 miles away from the Catawba nuclear facility. Is that a concern?
Absolutely. Those are the type things that the reason that we have these folks on our radar, and the reason that we try to keep up what's going on out there.
3 hours after leaving Islamville, we went back. This time, though, staying outside the compound. Within seconds, however, we were approached by Jilani followers with more on the way.
How long have you lived here?
All my life. Born and raised. Been out in the schools in York. We live just like our neighbors live. We don't bother anyone. We're very friendly people. We go out and we work and we make an honest living, and we just believe in our beliefs.
2006 law enforcement report that says Sheikh Jilani is known as an international terrorist. He's not on any current terror watch list in America. Neither are the compounds that he controls, the Muslims of America. However, at one time, Jilani and some of his followers did appear on the State Department's list of terrorist organizations. However, they were removed from that list some 9 years ago. As far as who's living at Islamville now, more than 100 people stayed at the York County site 2 years ago, but that number is now down to around 50. The FBI is very aware of Sheikh Jilani and the York County site, but they would not talk to us for our story. We did, however, contact the Islamic Center of Columbia about Sheikh Jilani and talked with an assistant there named Abdul Malik. They know all about Jilani but have nothing to do with him. Malik said they stay away from Jilani's teachings and beliefs.
Virginia is as rural as it gets. There's no traffic lights, and the only signs of industry here are a pair of convenience stores. So when a street sign popped up named after a radical Pakistani sheikh, along with men and women dressed in traditional Islamic garb, locals took notice.
The Ummah of Muhammad will take the lead over our humanity. Nowhere in history will you find one so blessed. Allah decreed. The Ummah of Muhammad will take the lead over our humanity. Nowhere in history will you find one so blessed. Allah decreed. The Ummah of Muhammad will take the lead over our humanity. Nowhere. Ya Nabi, Ya Rahmatul Lil Alameen, you are to me the very force of my heartbeat.
There's no compulsion in Islam. That means we can't force it on you. But we will force Islamic Sharia, inshallah.